Hey guys, welcome to another ride in Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Before we get into today's bus ride, I want to thank you guys for watching. I would like to thank today's opponent for playing our silly little game with us, and I would like to thank my patrons. For today's game, this one's a little unlike the others I've been playing recently. This game was very non-confrontational, there was very little fighting, and it was mostly just creating borders and securing borders and seeing who gets more territory. But with that said, there is plenty to learn from this game because for this type of game, you still need to make sure that your moves are nice and efficient. And that means following the rules that are Struggle Bus basic rules. So this one's almost a better example of what following the rules can get you, because that's really all we did this game. And this game does a really good job of showcasing the rule of don't attach to weak stones, because that's one of the trickier rules, and this game has a couple examples that really show why that is one of the basic rules. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get to the game. Okay, so we are black this game against a 12K, and so we know the rules. We're going to be starting with our corners, then going for the sides, and then the center. I'm going to play a 4-4 and a 3-4. I like doing that, and then I will come approach this stone here. I just like taking this double formation. Usually I see if they'll jump in. And so this seems like a reasonable response. It's not one I'm used to. I'm just going to attach to it to keep things simple. I suspect he'll extend. We need to block this cut, and he'll probably jump out over here, or he'll go and take this. I'm going to take our extension off of this, and I'm just going to play high here. And he probably owes us another move here, but that's fine. And then he comes up top and plays on the outside. That's a kind of a strange option. So I'm just going to block and take the corner because we're still early enough in the game that we care about our corners. So we will block here, and I'm just going to extend one more time. And then we're going to Hane here, just to keep his group a little squished. It's usually beneficial to play the Hane on top of 2 or 3 stones. We probably should have played it on top of 2, but I just wanted to do this. And I'm just going to connect here. I don't want this cut to become an issue. If we keep on extending, we're on the 5th line. It'll be too easy to get undercut. So I'm just going to connect here. And again, that was mainly because if I extended out, we would be on the 5th line, which is just a little too high. And so we can look at this. He wants to extend over here. We kind of want to, maybe do something here. So I'm going to extend off of this, and we'll stay on the 4th line for now. And now I think now we can play away. Both of us have 4th line stones here. I could play this, but I really don't want to. If he plays here, we'll block and it'll be fine. So we've got this top side that looks like it could be, something that he is aiming for, and we've got this unsecured corner right here. So our options are we can secure the corner, or we could do something over here to reduce the side. And let's do that. Let's play something here to reduce the top side, to make sure he doesn't get too much up here. And now he's playing here. And this kind of breaks our rule of don't attach to weak stones, right? This stone is kind of weak. It's pretty close to a lot of his stones. And while this isn't like directly attaching it, it's very similar, because when we extend in either direction, he's going to be compelled to make this stone stronger. And we could play on the side, we could play below, right? Both of these are fine. In this situation, I'm just going to play here to try to develop our corner. And if he extends, I will gladly extend. And you can see what's happening here. He's going to be securing this territory, but it's really not a lot of points compared to what we're getting in the corner and what we're going to get over here. But I do like this. I like this move as opposed to, I expected him to continue to push out here. But this is better, right? Because this is going to surround our group, and that is a good thing to do. So in this case, I am going to play this diagonal because since we're kind of blocked from running out, I want to make sure that we're 100% secure here. So we're going to play this. I suspect he will descend here. And here we're not going to play this second line move because it's too early for second line moves. If he plays it, we probably will block, but it's a little too early for us to be playing it right now. And so looking at big parts of the board, we still haven't really secured this corner. And then we've got this big bottom territory. And so, you could go either way with this. I wouldn't fault anybody for securing the corner. I wouldn't fault anybody for going and taking the bottom. But that is what we're going to do. We're going to play down here because this is just a fairly large area. I don't want him to get something like G4 and threaten to get a really large area. So I just want to get in there first. And yet again, we are seeing him breaking the rule of attaching to a weak stone. And this one is truly a weak stone, right? We played in between his stones. And so what's going to happen here is we can extend or we can Hane. In this case, I'm going to Hane because that really puts a lot of pressure on this stone. And now we can connect. And you can see now we no longer have a weak group. We have a very strong group. He also has a strong group, but remember, we're the ones who started with a weak group here. So I'm more than willing to give him a strong group if it means our group also gets strong, and that's kind of the failure of attaching to a weak group. And so I'm going to, we can extend, we can jump out. Both are fine. I'm going to extend just to try to get a base here. And he's playing that, which is it's a forcing move, and we will absolutely protect this cut. And so we will just connect. And then he plays the Hane here. And so I don't see any problems here. I don't think he can cut these stones off. So I don't think we need to do anything there. I'm looking at this Hane, and I'm also looking at securing the corner, which we still haven't done. And I think I'm going to secure the corner here because we already spent a move to make this a little stronger. We can still run out. So let's go secure this corner and see how much this top left quadrant turns into for us. And so he plays this kind of random central move. It's a little too far away from his friends, right? Because we can take this turn, we can just jump out here. And so this stone's a little misplaced. But with that said, I'm just going to play here just to block him. We could, if I wanted to attack this stone, I would start with turning on L15, right? I would turn here, see how he responds, and then maybe jump out here and see what kind of fight we would get, right? Because we kind of control this area. But this is just so big, we don't even need to do that. We can just block. And if we get this entire territory, that's going to be able to win the game by itself. And so we don't even need to really resist what he's doing here. We can just go where he wants us to go, and that'll be enough to get us some points. This is pretty unfortunate though, because we've got our rule. We need to protect our cuts, right? So here there's a very obvious cut here, and playing this will pretty much kind of wreck this entire area. He would either have to give up these 2 stones, or he might end up losing these 3. And so that's a little unfortunate. I'm going to give him a move to fix that. And so I'm going to strengthen the weakest group on the board, which is down here. And so I'm just going to take this Hane to get this group a little stronger. And then I'm just going to jump out. Just to make sure that our weakest group just got a little bit stronger, and hopefully he will eventually fix that. So this I'm not too worried about. Looks like he's trying to get some points here, but it's gonna be really tough to get points in the center. And so we can treat this as a connection, and so we'll extend, and then we will Hane on the head of 2. We will take this double Hane here to make sure that we're all set, and then we will connect to make sure that this cut is okay, because we did have this cut there. This cut we're fine with. We are fine with this cut. Even if it meant losing this stone, it would be okay. This is a larger area to get into, and so I'm going to jump up to reduce his area. And this is going to be a pretty short game, because honestly we're pretty close to endgame at this point in time, especially if he doesn't invade this area. So I'm going to extend, and if he pushes, I will Hane. And this will pretty much fully secure this top corner, and everything else is mostly secure on this board. So I'm going to turn here to block him from going the direction that he wanted to go, and then I will just do a knight's move off of this, which just further secures this. And then here, and remember, we still have this cut, which is kind of gonna hurt. And then we've got this. This move was to jump in to kind of take out his territory, and so now all we have to do is follow that move up, and we will follow it up again. And this is just kind of erasing everything in the middle. And that's why we care so little about the middle of the board, because it's really hard to get any points there. So we're pretty much in endgame, and I guess we really do eventually just need to push through here, right? There's a cut. It's been there for a very long time, and we do eventually just need to push through, and we'll see how much damage this can cause. And so so now he's letting this get in his territory as well. So now he's connected up, right? I'm sure it pained him to do so with an empty triangle. So he's connected there. This is all fine. We could look at trying to cut, but I think that's a little too aggressive for what we're doing. And so let's just transition into endgame and see where the big points are. We've got A4, we've got K2, P2, and S9. Basically, now all the big second line moves turned on, right? We've got the rule that says no early second line moves, but this really isn't early. So we could be looking at them now. We can also look at this to try to turn this on, but that doesn't make sense when he's got this stone here that could come in. So actually, what we'll do is we'll cover this and see if we can turn this into some territory, and we'll see if he's going to find this Atari here. So that'll be a good find if he does. He did not. And so we can just connect here or connect here. We do have to be mindful that there's this Atari here, but I think if we just connect, we will be fine. But I do want to connect this way. I don't want him to get too many Ataris on us. So just going to connect here to protect this cut, to make this cut sting a little less if he takes it. And now he's threatening to push through, but we can block. And if he cuts here, we'll be able to ladder the stone. So not a big concern. So now we can play a move like this to make this just a little bit bigger. This threatens this cut, right? If he plays right here, these three stones are separated. So we will protect the cut while also blocking him from getting in. And so now he's finding some big endgame moves. That is a good one. And the pinch here could potentially be an issue. And so all we're going to do is descend here. If nothing else, him playing J19 was Sente, and so that is reverse Sente. Here, if he plays here, we've got a ladder. So we are okay for now. We do not need to play here. So now we can just look at our big second line moves. And so we can start with P2. And then we can just extend up. And then we can play S9. And then connect. And this has a nice follow-up at T8, which we will take right now. And so that will be Sente, otherwise he loses this stone. And then we can do the same thing here. And this will be Sente, else he loses that stone. And then we can do the same thing here. This is Sente, else he's going to lose the blocking stone. And then we can do the same thing that we did over S9. We can play J2, because when he descends and we connect, we have the same kind of follow-up at H1. So here, this is tricky, right? We only have 2 liberties now, so what we can't answer on top because then we'll lose those. We can't play here, else we'll lose those. The only answer we have is to Atari, and then connect to make sure he doesn't get that cut and capture those stones. And then he threatens this cut. We will absolutely fix that. And then he plays here to block us from coming in, which is a big move. We will take the Sente. And then same thing, he loses that stone if he doesn't connect. And then we will play a very similar move. This is the third time we've seen this move, and 019 again will come in Sente. Now it won't, because this was the fix that he needed. So that's this is pretty much it. This was a very calm game, just a very calm game. So let's just finish it up. We will play here to block this off. There aren't too many moves left on this board. So I don't even think we need to skip ahead to the end. I think we are pretty much at the end here. And then we can go and review the game and show where things went right, show where things went wrong, and figure it out from there. Okay, so I think we should block here because we're going to start running out of liberties on this group. We eventually will need to play here once we run out of liberties, and so that's what we're going to do right now. Otherwise, we end up losing either this group or those stones. So now we're just going to firmly finish off our borders, and then that will be that. That was not needed, and then we'll finish this one off up here, and then that is going to be the end of that. And you can see that black is pretty well ahead from this area alone. This left side is huge. And I believe that is it. And so I am going to pass. Okay, just kidding. We totally did skip to the end of the game because as you can see, he tried some desperation moves here for a little bit, and I decided to skip through that and get to the end. We got to here, and white resigned. But it's clear that black is up by a pretty good amount on this one. So let's do a review and see what went well and what went wrong, and where white could have fixed up some of his play. Okay, so the beginning started well enough. He did this strange response, but it seems perfectly reasonable. I don't see anything wrong with this. Again, I think it's probably fine for white to extend here. The only reason I wouldn't like this because of already having a third line stone here, so maybe he would want to come up, and I would expect black to come back. And this seems fine for both players. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Tanuki either. This is off, right? Typically when we are extending off of a 3/4 stone, we're going to be looking at one of these 4 spots to play. Typically you're going to extend in this direction with either a small knight's move or a large knight's move or a 1-point extension or 2-point extension, right? He could have taken this. This is just kind of the wrong direction to come off of this stone. Not a big mistake. This is not really that big of a deal. And so I just extended off of my stones to finish that up. And then he played another bizarre approach. I think this gives black too much of the corner. This is a move you can play later in the game. It's kind of situational, and this isn't it. So again, we would typically be looking at either doing a knight's move from either side or just jumping into the 3/3. Those are the typical approaches for a 4/4 stone. So this is just a little off, and again, I think gives black just a little too much. because we're getting fourth line territory here. We are ahead of his stone, and I don't see this being a good result for white. We could have even just done something like this, and you can see this already almost secures 15 points. And what is white gotten off of this? And here we took the Hane to make it even tougher for that group to do too much. We connected up, and then we took our base. But again, black has a good amount of points here, and white really didn't get too much. Here, I'd like to see white use this wall to either just extend off of at something like K16, or maybe even go somewhere here to pressure this stone and threaten a big territory here. Maybe he could do some more forcing moves to reduce this, and then try to turn this into a moyo, right? He could look at something like this and really see if he could threaten something big here. This is a little advanced, but it's a good way to use the stones we already have on the board. This is just kind of in the wrong spot. It's kind of it's not really a big area of this board. The bottom has a lot of potential because of this P5 stone, right? That is one thing that this stone does well. And also there's a lot of potential up here for black, and then there's a big old question mark here. And so I think this is probably the smallest area of the board. And I'd like to see white maybe play F4, I think would be a good move, or, go approach R3, 4 stone. I think this is just a little off. And so I took our Tanuki here and took one of the big points on the board, right? I said that the bottom is big, and then this was a big old question mark. So I answered that question. He attaches to a weak stone, which lets us get strong for free, which we are more than happy to get. For this stone to not get challenged at all and turn into now a very strong group facing a stone of ours. And so now this is going to be a tough area for a white to navigate. With that said, this is a good move. I like this move quite a bit. It stops my group from coming out. It further turns this into a potentially scary area if white manages to get a move like F4. And so because of the pressure of the stone, I played here, and then he blocked, and then we took the next big area of the board, right? We recognized that we have Sente here. Same thing when we played K17. It was just a matter of we have Sente, and where's the biggest area on the board? And so I decided to play here, and this is usually a safe move to do when there's this much area, because depending on what way they come, you can either do a two-point extension this way or a 2-point extension this way. So it should be pretty easy for us to get a base. Unfortunately, he yet again attached to a weak stone. And this game's probably the best example I've seen in a while of this rule that's probably the tougher rule of the basics to explain properly, is don't attach to weak stones. And it's when I get asked a lot, and when I explain it, it's a little trickier. But again, you can see what happened with the exchange up here, A for B. Black had a stone that wasn't really necessarily strong, and now look how strong this group is. And what did white get from it? White didn't get too much here. And the same thing here. This stone, this K3 stone, is a very weak stone. But then once we make this exchange, look how strong these stones are, right? Now we can almost Tanuki away from this. We totally can Tanuki away from this. And if this was one of my games, I would consider doing it, because the group is that strong now. And this started with a K3 stone that was all by itself, right? And now all of a sudden, we've got this really strong group here. And what did white get out of this? He's got a strong group as well, but again, this was his area to begin with, and he wasn't the one starting with a weak group. He already had a strong position to come off of. So he's left with a strong position, but he already had a strong position, and we're left with a strong position, and we had a weak position. So we make out on this exchange. So then he does a forcing move, and then here, and we recognize here that we again have Sente, because this move is not Sente. And so we decided to finally secure this corner. And now this is going to be problematic for white to deal with. There's still a lot of space here. White could come in and do a move like this, or play any of probably these 6 places. Would be okay depending on how white follows it up. But it's going to be tough now. It's going to be tough because this, coming in here, black's likely going to turn, this into 40 points. And if white doesn't do anything about it, then it turns into what happened in this game. And so I think this is him trying to come in a little bit. And interestingly enough, I think that this stone is not is not deep enough into my area and is also too far away from the stones. I think you either want to dive all the way in or do something a little closer to your stones, maybe something like F10, so that you've got multiple directions to run. Because if we just play a move like this, now we're gonna be chasing down, and we're gonna be erasing all the potential that white has. We decided instead just grow my area. This is a pretty simple response. If white keeps on pushing, then this entire area is going to be ours. That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. And so that's what happens. And then white plays this. And again, this is, I think he has to almost treat these two stones as their own group and just start doing shape moves off of this own group. And it'll eventually connect up to something. Playing this is almost like he's trying to connect up, but we can just immediately cut right here, and these stones are going to be in trouble. They're going to lose all usefulness. Instead, I decided to not do this. I was hoping he was eventually going to fix that cut, and so I decided to come down here to strengthen our group instead. And so here he went to block. I think he saw this as trying to get into his area, but really there's not a lot of points to be had here. So looking at this board, I think it's probably worth, obviously we need to fix this cut. This is just the most urgent move on this board, regardless of, what large moves we have on this board. This is the urgent move. And that's something I haven't gone into before, the difference between large moves and urgent moves. And urgent moves are exactly what you think they are. They're moves that you need to play them right now. Like the timing is now, and it doesn't matter if there are big moves on the board. It's more important to play the urgent move first instead of the big move. But here we might actually be able to get away with this. Again, just we would then have to treat this as its own group. And if black cut here, if we even answered, we would probably just answer something like this and leave these as separate groups. But here, this doesn't block enough. This doesn't block enough because we can still look at reducing this, which is white's largest area. We can look at growing this, which is just too much of an area, too large of an area. And so here we treated this as an attachment to the stone. So we extended, he extended, we haned, and then we double haned. And again, this is the benefit of the hane at the head of 2, because if white wants to do something like this, it comes at a price where black can do something like this. And if white even captures, black gets this, and now all of a sudden you can see just how bad this is for white. And this all started with the hane at the head of 2. So going back, white protects that properly. We protect our cut. It's important to protect our cuts. White turns, and then we drive in. And at this point, this game is well over, especially if white doesn't go and invade here, which he needed to do a long while ago, I think. So the writing is definitely on the wall here, and so I think that's where we're going to leave this one. Very unconfrontational game, very dissimilar to the last ones we've had, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. So either way, thanks for coming out for another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel's an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.